Welcome to another Coffee with Samso. Today we've got West Cobar Metals Limited here. The code is WC1. It's all about rare earths with West Cobar Metals. I've got the executive director here, Kevin Das, talking to us. Their market cap currently is 8.7 million. Share price is around 9.1 cent as we speak. So West Cobar Metals is a rare earth story in the Esperance region. The Salazar project is the name. Uniquely, it has a JORC 2012 inferred resource, 43.5 million tonnes at 1192 ppm TREO. So, Kevin, welcome to Coffee with Samso.
Thanks, Noel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, look, Kevin, there is a unique background that you have, which I think it stands out from the crowd. Maybe just give us an intro about your history, your background, and then we'll go straight into the story.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, look, my background, I've got about 20 plus years in the mining sector, both corporate and exploration technical, various jurisdictions, various commodities, gold, uranium, base metals, and probably more recently rare earths. In fact, 13 years rare earth experience, cut my teeth with Northern Minerals back in 2009 with the discovery of the Browns Range rare earth deposits there.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've done a fair bit of conversations with companies. When I said unique intro, when I intro you, not many people can carry that amount of experience in rare earth. Not saying that they're not capable of, but maybe you could just give us a rundown on your involvement with Northern Minerals, because that was basically the start of the rare earth run back, well, almost 13 years ago now.
Yeah. Look, back then, I think 2009, as a company, we were rotating out of uranium, and we actually had a very large land package that was prospective for rare earths. So the Browns Range project was one of the projects I was involved in from day one. We started with a handful, I think 5 or 6 rock chip samples. Back then, people were saying, we were saying, what are rare earths? I mean, we couldn't even pronounce, the elements. And so certainly been a learning experience. But over the years, I think the industry's evolved and rare earths have become much better understood, not just by the investment community, but also mums and dads, because of the critical nature and the supply of rare earths.
I mean, we can talk about this a bit more, but I guess there's a pivot in how we see rare earths today. There was all hard rock back then, and now we're going into the clays, and previously that was ionic and things like that. But look, the Newmont deposit, again, as I said in an intro, it's unique and different. So tell us all about it.
Yeah, okay. Well, firstly, the Newmont deposit is located in Western Australia, about 120 kilometres northeast of the deepwater port of Esperance. And with the Salazar project, there's two primary areas. There's the Newmont deposit, where we've got this 43.5 million tonne JORC compliant resource at 1192 ppm TREO, but also we have the O'Connor prospect, which has been showing really fantastic, robust drilling as well, and that has the potential for more tonnes to be added as well.
The Newmont is unique in the sense that it sits above an ultramafic basement, which I don't think I've come across that yet. I'm not professing that I've come across every single rare earth deposit, but that's unique in a sense. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, you're right, Noel. Newmont sits on a ultramafic basement high, and it's actually an amphibolite unit. And you see in the Esperance region, and in particular with a lot of these clay rare earths, the genetic model is you've got a granite which contains your rare earths and is the source of your rare earths, and as your rare earths shed off the granite, they enrich the saprolitic clays above and adjacent to the granite. In the case of Newmont, it's somewhat quite unique in the sense that these rare earths aren't don't seem to be coming from the granite, but they seem to be involved with the ultramafic unit that we've got on the ground. And as a result, it seemed to have upgraded or enriched our grade there. So that's why we're seeing a very high grade with a resource of 1192 ppm TREO.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at your announcement, your recent announcement that came out yesterday, those kind of depth and those kind of grades is pretty good. I mean, it's we've gone through many conversations where people are saying, look, 20 plus meters is good depth, and you want figures in the full numbers, and that looks fairly consistent. I mean, you guys must be quite happy with that kind of result at this point in time.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Look, I think what we're seeing at Newmont, just the depth of the shallowness of the mineralization is one thing. We're seeing some really robust high grade numbers, really thick intersections. So they all make the deposit very attractive from a mining perspective.
And you're probably, if I'm not mistaken, the only one with a resource out there at this point in time, or one of the very few.
Yeah, look, there's another company in there. There's about 4 or 5 main players in that Esperance region. There's another company there, Heavy Rare Earth, that also have a resource as well. And yeah, look, the project or the deposit's quite advanced on several fronts, including some of the met work we've done, some of the characterization studies through reputable institutions like CSIRO, AMDEL, NAGROM, University of Newcastle, University of Western Australia.
In your figure 3, I just wanted to direct the conversation to that figure where you've got your outline of your resource and the geology there. Can you sort of give us a light version of how, could people, investors who are looking at you, and could that mean that you get more opportunity for more resource, or, how would you, can you just give us an explanation of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've just referring to figure 3, that kind of shows our ultramafic unit and some of the drilling. We've just completed a 9,000 metre drill program earlier this year. All the final results came in this week, and that's kind of extended the Newmont resource out to the north, to the south, and to the east and the west. So all that information is now going to consultants, AMC, who will work that data in with the historic data to provide us with an upgraded mineral resource estimate. And we expect that to be coming out sometime in late June.
All right, so the drilling that just been completed, or the assays coming back, that will help increase the size, potentially, of your existing 43.5 million tonnes. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. That's right. So we'll take this data from the recent round of drilling, and we'll incorporate it with the past drilling, with the past resource numbers, and come out with a resource upgrade next month.
I mean, I'm big on pretty pictures. In figure 4, where you get your mag there, I can see clearly where your amphibolite may extend to the southwest there. Is that something that you guys are looking at on top of what you've done already in terms of future work?
Yeah, that's right, Noel. Look, that image there showing the magnetics, really picks up that amphibolite unit, and you can see it's extending out to the southwest there, and also to the northeast a little bit as well. And that's going to be the next round of drilling. We really want to get that cleared, and then start drilling that out as well, and chasing that resource further to the southwest.
And obviously, I think one of the cross section you have there, figure 6, quite shows clearly what your resource sort of overlying the amphibolite. Are you seeing great distribution outside of that amphibolite, or just does it stop? Does it get lower outside that unit?
Yeah, look, you can see from that cross section figure there. It's almost like the genetic model. You've got your saprolite, and then you've got your ultramafic unit, and within there you've got a couple of zones. It kind of mushrooms out at the top, and as you go further out, it starts to thin out. But you can see over and flanking the edges of the ultramafic unit, you can see your highest and some of your thickest grades there. So that's really supports our genetic model there, and with the presence of rare earths, your near surface portions of your saprolite, and just on the flanks of your ultramafic unit.
I mean, obviously, when we talk about how unique it is, and you got resource, and potentially you're going to be increasing that number. Do you think you're going well in that? Do you think you're putting yourself in that first mover position? Because it's very important in all our industries. It's either you're first mover, or you've got something really unique, or you got a massive thing, right? So do you think that's where you guys could be?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I guess with the acquisition of the Salazar project, we were quite blessed that it came with a lot of good work. There's probably been about 7-8 years of good work, including characterization work, drilling, a whole bunch of stuff that came with the project. So that kind of gave us a really good understanding, especially of the mineral species that we're dealing with, and how we can then now target our metallurgical process and some of our beneficiation work. Look, having a 43.5 million tonne resource at a 1192 ppm grade is a fantastic start. So we've really looking to build on that. I should also mention that based on some of the existing drilling, we have an exploration target of 200 to 500 million tonnes at a TREO grade of 1,000 ppm to 1,400 ppm as well. So if we can drill all of this out over the coming years, then there's some really big tonnages that are in the pipeline.
About 2 weeks ago, I came across a project, not in Australia. I mean, they're quoting tonnage not too. I think it might even be smaller than 43 million tonnes, but the grade was much lower, and there was excitement about that. But that's why I thought this is quite. When I saw your project in the grades, it's unique, and then plus you got a resource, and I think on top of that you have a inferred resource of alumina as well, which is going down the HPA story. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, look, that's right. It's probably a bit of a hidden gem there. So our high grade rare earths occur within a kaolin clay, and at the Newmont deposit, but also at Newmont we also have a alumina resource as well. So there's just over 28 million tonnes at 23.4% aluminium oxide at a 10% cutoff. And so that's just, in itself, it's a standalone project and potentially a company maker in its own right. So that's something we're looking at as a board and as a management to see how we can really extract value from that. Is it possible to develop that through a singular flow sheet and pull out the rare earths as well? In addition, we've gone one step further and undertaken leach test work, and the kaolin is amenable to leaching, and we've been able to achieve a 4N 99.99 HPA feedstock as well. So some real technical ticks on that front, and that's also sitting there at Newmont. But our focus will be the rare earths. But I suppose it's good to have that optionality there as well.
Well, it could work like a nice credit for you if it works, as you say, in the flow sheet. But just to clarify for the guys out there, are they two separate? Are they sitting in two separate space, or is the alumina within the rare earth deposit?
Yeah. So at the Newmont deposit. So the Newmont deposit extends out for several kilometres, north-south kind of rough direction.
Strike on
Correct,
strike,
yeah. And the aluminium resource sits on your north-western flank, just a small portion on your northwestern flank of the deposit.
Yep.
And so they actually occur together. So you've got your rare earths in that portion that occur also with your alumina resource as well. So potentially if you pull one out in that northern part, you'll get both rare earths and your potential HPA feedstock as well.
From devil's advocate position, I mean, people may say, will that create metallurgical issues for you, or is that something that you guys is a work in progress for you guys to figure that out?
Yeah, look, some of these things, having multi commodities in one place, can be a blessing or a curse. And the way I look at it is, it's a good thing that we can have a look. It's not the primary driver of the project, and if we wanted to hive it off and treat it separately, that's something we could also do and still focus on the rare earths. But it'd be fantastic if we could develop it together as a co-product. That would certainly be a big advantage if we could, pull out the rare earths and pull out the HPA potential, feedstock as well.
Yeah, I asked that question knowing that there are many projects in a similar situation. You just got these two, and sometimes they just dig it up and put it out to waste and go on with the main game, right? So it's but it's kind of people will start to think, is this going to be is this a spanner in the works, or is, like you said, a blessing or a curse? Yeah. Other projects that you have, I mean, you've got stuff in the US as well. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So in addition to our rare earth project, we also have lithium projects in Nevada, in the USA, and also a very large land package in the Northern Territory, in not too far from Core, Ragusa, and Lithium Plus in that Litchfield province as well. So that's definitely not the main game, but a focus for the company to really get on the ground and conduct some exploration activities on both of those projects.
Now, delving into your experience in rare earths, you've seen the rare earth industry since 30 years ago and today. Can you give us a narrative of what it was, how the journey and today? Because my thoughts, clay rare earths has got kind of poked its head out because we've got some geopolitical issues and people are starting to realize there's a supply issue. We can't depend on people. Nationalization happening in other places. And how do you see it moving forward from 2023?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with some of that as well. I think back in the day, rare earths, and even largely now, was all dominated and the supply chain controlled by China. And we're still seeing that there is a very strong influence and control of that supply chain by China. But I think we're really starting to see a shift. I think the world is waking up and seeing that and understanding, not just governments, industry, car manufacturers are starting to wake up and know that rare earths are critical. The supply chain is critical, and I think probably one of the biggest thematics is this decarbonisation. And so we're seeing governments all around the world putting in audacious kind of targets to go green, from the EV thematic, wind turbines, your permanent magnets are going to be absolutely key in driving this green transition. So it's, I guess, back in 2009, when you talk to government and you engage, it was a lot of rhetoric, and I think governments understood that rare earths are critical, but just the drive, to see change wasn't there. Whereas now we're seeing a lot more government financial incentives, governments on board. We're seeing a lot more companies going downstream. I think here in Australia, we've always been a nation where we've dug stuff up and we've shipped it overseas. Whereas it'd be fantastic if we could go downstream. For example, that Esperance region, that has the potential to be a globally significant, source of the future supply of rare earths. And there's a deep water port there, and FFI are looking to establish a green hydrogen hub there as well. So there's access to clean green energy. So it's a fantastic location for a new supply of source. So I think that's where we're really seeing the world change, is that people are moving away from just the one source being China and looking to create alternative supply chains, and that's going to take time. New supply chains are more expensive, but it is happening, and along with your governments and industry really looking for new supplies of these critical minerals.
I think that point, the Esperance region, I think is you want to call it dark horse, or I think it's almost a very apparent dark horse. Is that you've got lots of grade, lots of volume. You got a region that allows you to expand. You're not condensed in an area where you can't increase infrastructure and create more business. You want to use the word, as you pointed out, greenness of the stuff, and a lot of the older sources of these things very hard to convert to being green. Whereas, and I think that's where the advantage is. I mean, you look at your grade, and sometimes when you think of the grade, high grade, but that means that you become more wondered, not because you're high grade, because you become actually a source of blending for the lower grade. So, Rio Tinto makes iron ore like they're making cakes. You want a bit sweet, less iron, so that Esperance region, I think it's a hidden gem, because I remember talking to another company 3 years ago about, and they would talk to governments in rare earths, and he said it's like talking to a brick wall. Whereas now, as you said, there's lots of this kind of feedback, right? Taking that into the capital markets, what are people saying in that part of the world to you or to your peers?
Yeah, look, I think capital markets at the moment are pretty tough, and I think look, there's definitely an appetite for critical minerals. I think it's this overarching thematic we're seeing for decarbonisation, to go green, clean. The world financial community are looking to invest into these new minerals. I mean, this is a new age that we're living in, and these new age minerals, as we could call them, are the future. And I think people are, capital markets are seeking more and more exposure to that, whether it's the rare earths, whether it's the lithium. For us, I think look, it's definitely tough. We've got a very advanced project, and probably significantly undervalued compared to our peers at a 8+ mil market cap. So I think there's definitely a lot of upside there, and from an investment point of view, we seem very, very attractive given what we've got in the portfolio, not just the rare earths, but also the lithium, and potentially HPA as well.
Yeah, I think the lithium boom kind of settled now, but I think the next move is where people start to understand what can work, what can't work. The valuation may not be 200 times, but it's still 50 times. That's still a lot, and by virtue of the fact the capital markets is put a lot of your type companies down so cheaply, it's almost reduced the downside by virtue of the fact the price has gone down, not because the value of the project has gone down. Look, going forward, what's the news flow? I know we touch on a lot of things. What's the news flow for you guys?
Yeah, look, key news flow. Look, we've got our met work, leaching test work from ANSTO coming out towards the end of June, and that'll be really good to get that out, get that to the market. We also have some beneficiation work that we're working on as well. In addition to that, we've got a JORC upgrade at the Newmont deposit. All the drilling that we've just recently completed will go towards upgrading Newmont, and we're hoping to have that out in late June as well. Beyond that, we're going to look towards lithium tenements. We want to get on the ground in Nevada as well. And we've got 2 properties there that we're in the process of completing our final drill permit. And once that drill permit's done, we're going to get on the ground and start drilling both of those properties in Nevada. So in Nevada, what we're targeting is these large sedimentary claystone lithium deposits. And you can kind of see in the map from one of our corporate presentation, we're kind of in that prime area, what you'd call the Beverly Hills of Nevada, and there you've got some very big players with some very significant deposits and hefty market caps. So yeah, we're in that region, and yeah, we really want to take that opportunity to explore for these sedimentary claystone lithium deposits.
The good thing about your claystone lithium is that if you find them if other people find them in that unit, the chances that you're finding in a unit that you have is quite high. Not to say that it's a guaranteed thing, but because they just the way they form, right? It's in the unit, and everyone should see it.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I think again, you go back to just like with rare earths, you've got a genetic model with your lithium sedimentary deposits, and it's based around your calderas, which produce your magmas and your hot fluids, and as those fluids come up and move into these sedimentary units, and the lithium starts to drop out, and or form in those units, and that's what we're targeting. If you've got those units on your ground, which we have, then you're in with a half a chance of making a good discovery there. So we're going to get on the ground and explore that, and with the intent of drilling both of those properties, fingers crossed, July, August this year.
Before we get to the point where I get you to sell your soul to tell people why they should buy West Cobar, what could be the span and the works in everything we discuss that will keep you awake, and having headaches? So what could cause that? Again, coming from devil's advocate position, what could make your whole thing sort of not happen, or what are the hurdles that become bigger and bigger?
Yeah, look, I think probably one of the challenges is, the game we're in is very much a long game. It's a technical game. It's really identifying, but also understanding the deposit and what you've got. And that involves not just drilling, but your metallurgy, and some of these things can take time. And I think probably one of the challenges is that capital markets, as sophisticated as they may be or think they are, want results here and now. And so I think that could definitely be a challenge. Developing these things, and you've got to ride out the cycles. As mining is cyclical, and you'll have waves where your magnet rare earth prices are up, and you have waves where they're down, and capital markets are going to respond to that. It's going to be one month it'll be the flavour of the month, and next it won't. And but I think you got to stay on track, and as long as we can deliver technical successes, I think that's the main thing we want to try and do. It's West Cobar is not in it just to drill out a billion tons and not progress the metallurgy or any other aspects of the business. I think we want to know that we're in with half a chance of developing this project, and really just push it forward on its technical merits, and hopefully get that support from capital markets as and when required.
And so, why would anyone buy West Cobar? Why? What's your pitch to these guys?
Oh, look. Firstly, we're at 8+ mil market cap. We're very cheap compared to how advanced with a Newmont resource, network, O'Connor upside. The lithium assets in the portfolio, very cheap, and I always say we've got a value proposition is delivering value to shareholders through discovery and development. So we have that development opportunity through Salazar, the rare earths, but also we have creating opportunities for discovery, as we've seen in Nevada and also Northern Territory. I think we've got a fantastic junior mining board, and lots of news flow and catalysts coming up in the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, I think the fact that you've got a resource up front ready and potentially increasing that to whatever magnitude that could be. I think that's kind of the one of the unique features of the developing rare earth stories. I've had other guys here, and everything is a developing story. Even the lithium, I mean, we're very young in lithium. People don't realize that. They feel like it's like a nickel and copper and all the other metals that we used to for the last decades. 3, 4, 5 decades. That 3 decades I've been involved. Look, Kevin, this is fantastic. It's a definitely, as I keep repeating myself, it's different. It's very different to the other stories. To finish it off, look, I work closely with Florence Drummond, who works with a group called KIC. KIC is a group of First Nation business that supports our industry, and they've kindly given us some coffee, which I give away to willing participants of Coffee with Samso. So till the next time we continue your journey, thank you for your time, and really appreciate you coming and sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Noel.